Yo, good afternoon, freedom marchers, freedom family, freedom lovers, freedom fighters. It's your boy Snapzilla Gorilla, aka The Definition. Welcome to Freedom's March. Coming at y'all with a quick live stream. Something I wanted to talk about in the realm of boxing, but it actually has a lot to do with real world shit. All right, a lot to do with real world shit. And what I'm specifically talking about is confirmation bias. All right, confirmation bias. And confirmation bias is basically it's a fallacy, right? It's when we hear something that confirms a belief that we have, right? So the very first time we hear something, without any real evidence, without any real documentation, without anything really to back it up, we're just going to believe it because it confirms our bias, right? So this doesn't happen in boxing and in this instance. This happens, like I said, in the real world, right? In your everyday life. It happens with media. It happens with propaganda. People already have a certain sets of beliefs. They already have certain bias. They already believe certain things right off the bat. But when what they consider to be a good source comes out and tells them something out of their mouth without presenting any real evidence, without any, like I said, no documentation, no official paperwork, they just run with it because it has confirmed their bias. And the problem with this is when you have somebody that's supposed to be credible when they are reporting information, when they're reporting news to the people, they just go ahead and say that, they basically present it as though it's a fact, present it as fact, or they present it as it's official. And this is a problem. And this is what happened with Oscar De La Hoya in regards to what he said about Devin Haney's pay-per-view numbers. All right. Now, Oscar De La Hoya has his clap back Thursday, right? And of course he has to address Devin Haney's lawsuit to Golden Boy, right? And basically saying that Golden Boy is withholding funds from Devin Haney and being very shady about what the official pay-per-view numbers were. So mind you, I just want y'all to put this in your mind. Oscar De La Hoya and Golden Boy is being sued for not being forthcoming with the real numbers for the pay-per-view between Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney. But he comes out on this clapback Thursday and says that, you only did 300,000 pay-per-view buys, blah, blah, blah. Dead Mike was good. Oh, you only did 300,000 pay-per-view buys. These are just words coming out of his mouth, y'all. He said Devin Haney and Ryan Garcia did a little over 300,000 pay-per-views for their fight. And that's all he did. He just used words. There was no link in the description showing the official documentation from the network. There was nothing. So this guy could just be saying anything during his clapback Thursday. And instead of basically demanding that he proves this information is actually real, what he does is what certain in the YouTubers and whatnot do is they report that, Devin Haney's pay-per-view numbers were released. All this, that, and the third. Okay, the pay-per-view numbers were released. When I see a title like that, when I see something like that, I'm expecting some official shit. I'm expecting something official. I'm expecting documentation with a letterhead. You know what I'm saying? A breakdown of all the numbers. That's what I'm expecting. But when you get ready to tell where you got that information, you say Oscar De La Hoya told us the numbers for Devin Haney's pay-per-view with Ryan Garcia, and that's your source. So that's what you're gonna run with. That is called confirmation bias. You wanted the pay-per-views to be less than what they were saying the pay-per-view numbers were, which was around 450 to 500,000 pay-per-view buys. You wanted it to be less than that because, you know, people are saying it's being reported that Tank Davis only did 350,000 pay-per-view buys against Frank Martin or some shit like that. Again, even with that, we have no idea what the official numbers were. No one knows what the official pay-per-view numbers are. They give us an approximate number. They give us numbers that they don't even, it doesn't even have to be real numbers. There's no law. They're not breaking any laws if they give us fake numbers. You understand what I'm saying? So when you say you have that the numbers were released, it is incumbent upon you as someone who's reporting news and reporting information, and you're supposed to be a credible channel. It is incumbent upon you to make sure that what you're presenting is factual. Oscar De La Hoya saying on a goofy ass, whatever the fuck you want to call that, throwback, flat back, tap, clap back, whatever the fuck you calling that, just him saying the words, oh, we only did 300,000. Only did 300,000 pay-per-view buys. I mean, that's not official. So when we presented it as such, and then you say that's where you got the numbers from, how can I take anybody like that seriously? How could that be taken seriously? Because like I said, I'm expecting some documentation. I'm expecting something from the network. I'm expecting something. Not just some shit that Oscar De La Hoya said, who's actually being sued right now for not being forthcoming about pay-per-view numbers. And on top of that, he's been sued before. He's been sued by Canelo. You know, he has been what said to be very shady in business. You know, there is that out there. Like I said, Canelo sued him. Sued Golden Boy for fudging the numbers so that he doesn't have to pay Canelo what he's owed. Right? So this is what is called a pattern. It's a pattern. And so because we want Devin Haney to fail, and because we don't like Devin Haney, we're just going to sit up here and say, yeah, these are the official numbers were released. And then you say that Oscar De La Hoya is the source. And I could see if Oscar De La Hoya posted some documentation, released some documentation for the world to see. No, he just said words out of his mouth. Allegedly, bro, don't get sued next. What are you talking about? What am I supposed to be alleging? What am I supposed to be alleging? He has been sued before for being shady. That's not alleged. It is just what it is. I don't know what I should be alleging. I'm not. What I'm saying is Oscar De La Hoya saying that it was only 300 pay-per-view buys is not, you know, it's not the numbers being released. You understand what I'm saying? He's just saying shit. Just like all these other people come out and they say numbers. They did these many pay-per-view buys. They did those many pay-per-view buys. But they're just saying it. So why should Oscar De La Hoya be any different? Why should Oscar De La Hoya's word be any more solid, be any more, you know, official than anybody else that says what the pay-per-view numbers are for any other fight. And why do we even care? That's another question. Why do we even care this much about pay-per-view numbers? Why? Why do we care? You know, it doesn't make any sense. Do we want to see fights happen or not? Why are we putting so much emphasis on pay-per-view numbers when the emphasis should be on, do we want to see a great fight? Do we want to see challenging fights? Do we want to see fights that are going to put us on the edge of our seat? The question should be, would I buy a pay-per-view to see these two people fight? That's when you should be concerned about a pay-per-view number, is when you hear that two people are going to fight that you really want to see fight, and they say, oh, well, this is going to be a pay-per-view fight. At that point, then you say, okay, so how much is the pay-per-view? For that single pay-per-view you're going to buy. Just like BFTB said. Same, that really is the only way it makes sense. Why are we putting so much emphasis that we're still, haven't we learned from all the other pay-per-view number arguments? It goes nowhere. The reason pay-per-view buy numbers go, the pay-per-view buy number conversation, it doesn't go anywhere. It has no bearing on whether or not two opponents should fight. Right? And if we're so concerned about pay-per-view numbers, then we should want the best fights to happen so that more people buy the fights. So that more people want to tune into the fight. So that more people respect the fight enough to pay for a pay-per-view to see it. If we really care about pay-per-view numbers that much. And that's really all it is to it. So saying that Devins pay-per-view numbers were released and there were 300,000 when he fought Ryan Garcia, there's nothing official out there that says that. Oscar De La Hoya said it out of his mouth, but that does not mean that that is what it is. He might have access to the numbers, and he could be lying or whatever. It is what it is. We don't know. He could be telling the truth, right? He could be telling the truth. Do you know when we will know the official numbers? And you know what? We probably never will. This lawsuit might be settled. It might be handled. It might be sealed. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know if we'll ever know the official numbers. We'll never know. So I don't know. I just felt like it's pretty wild, that we care so much. That we care so much that we're hanging on every word. Oh, Oscar De La Hoya mentioned pay-per-view numbers. Oh shit. Let me just go ahead and put this out real quick. And that's the funny thing. If Bill Haney or someone like that says what pay-per-view numbers are, we don't believe them. We don't trust them. Right? Oh, those aren't the official numbers. Where'd you get that information? We don't believe these motherfuckers. We don't believe when other people say what the pay-per-view numbers are. We only believe it when it confirms our bias. If it doesn't confirm our bias, we don't believe it. And that's sad right there. But that's really all I got now, y'all. So I just thought I'd touch on that. And that goes for the real world too, y'all. That goes for the real world too. Because people do have confirmation bias. And when they hear something or see something that confirms their bias, they tend not to look any further into it. They tend not to research. They tend not to fact check. And that's what we should be doing. We should be fact checking everything that all the information. You know, especially if we care so much about it. If we care so much about it to report on it, then we should definitely fact check. We should definitely do the research. We should not be jumping out the window just saying the first thing that we hear it confirms our bias. That's not how that should work. But anyway, y'all get what I'm saying. Much love, like, share, subscribe, or not, and we can keep marching forward toward freedom. Peace.